When we're talking about the corrections in this reconciliation bill, again, it's corrections of overpayments and people that have not been eligible for these programs by law as it is currently written. So when you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, 1.4, they are not eligible. So they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die. So for heaven's sakes, folks. Okay, no, but what you don't want to do is listen to me when I say that we are going to focus on those that are most vulnerable. Those that meet the eligibility requirements for Medicaid, we will protect.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well. But for those that would like to see eternal and everlasting life, I encourage you to embrace my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Hello, everyone. Bobby Jones here from Meidas Touch and Valor Media Networks. So last week we presented one of the candidates that's running for United States Congress here in the United States. And because it was so popular, I wanted to do it again with another phenomenal candidate from the heartland of America, from Iowa to be specific, who after he gets done with the primary process will be running against Senator Joni Ernst. And this man, again, a veteran, not just of the Marine Corps, but of the United States Army as well, Mr. Nathan Sage. And it's an honor to have you here. And just real quick, I just want people to understand who you are, what your background is, and what makes you unique just as a leader.
Well, I appreciate it. First of all, thanks for having me on, Bobby. I appreciate it. So I grew up in a small town in Mason City, Iowa. Grew up in a trailer. Very poor upbringing. My dad was a factory worker. My mom was a daycare teacher. I had 3 other siblings. My little brother followed me in the Marine Corps as well. But followed me in and I knew growing up in that environment, like my dad was working double shifts. My mom was trying to make it. And the only reason she was a daycare teacher at that time was to be able to, afford life for us. And so I knew it was a hard road to try to make something of myself. And my dad was an Air Force veteran. I always, looked up to him for serving our country. And, for me, it was, that was the best path for Nathan was like, you know what? My dad told me, he's like, if you're going to do something, Nathan, do something hard, make it hard on yourself. And I was like, I think the Marine Corps does that. Right. So joined the Marine Corps out of high school, did that, went to Iraq twice. I was actually stationed at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. Got sent to Iraq in 2004. I got attached to 2nd Battalion, 10th Marines out of Camp Lejeune. Did provisional grunt unit stuff in Iraq. So at Al-Taqaddum. So in there in 2004, did a lot of ECPs, checking, things like that, searching Iraqis, things like that. Went back again in 2006 as a mechanic. 3521 did my work as a mechanic there. And then came back, decided, it's time to be something else. Wanted to try and be a civilian. So I did that for a little while. Was a mechanic up in Mason City again. Had the opportunity, to work there. Was the head mechanic, doing a lot. Just missed the guys though. Missed the military. Really missed the camaraderie. Nobody tells you how hard it is when you first get out, what you have to deal with. So actually called up the Marine Corps in probably the beginning of 2008. Middle of 2008, possibly right around now, possibly. And I said, hey, would love to get back in prior Marine Corps. But one guy answered the phone, said, hey, sorry, Marine Corps, we're not taking prior enlisted at this moment. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
Shocked by it, but devastated at the same time. So I said, okay, well, I talked to my now ex-wife and I said, what should I do? And she's like, well, if you want to join the military, there's always the Army. And I was like, yeah, well, I'll call up the Army. Army was like, here's $3,500 sign-on bonus. Come on down, Nate. Join the Army. So did that. Went to Iraq again in 2010. I was actually stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas. So I went to Iraq again in 2010 with the Army for a year. Came back and I said, okay, I'm done with this. I was a non-commissioned officer, corporal in the Marine Corps and the Army. Was a squad leader, fire team leader, did all that stuff. Enjoyed what I was doing. Was really good at being a leader. Was really good at doing what I was doing in the military. But just knew that I had spent 2.5 years of my life in the desert and I was done with it. So I went to. I was like, I got a GI Bill now. Now I have an opportunity. I can actually go to college. I knew growing up I couldn't. Now I can. Kansas State University is literally right next door to Fort Riley. It's like 30 minutes away. So I went to Kansas State University. When I was going to Kansas State, I was working nights, actually screen printing, and embroidery work. So I'd work from 9 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning. And then I'd go to class from about 7:30 in the morning to about 3:30. And I'd do that every day using my GI Bill to go to college. You got to pay your way through and support my family. So that's what I did. Graduated Kansas State with a degree in journalism, mass communication with a minor in leadership. Leadership part came pretty easy, but it was still a lot of fun. And I had the opportunity to get back up to Iowa where I'm originally from, wanted to go. Went to Knoxville, Iowa, where I started working in radio. So I worked at 95.3 KNIA and 92.1 KRLS in Knoxville, Iowa. Worked my way up, started overnight announcer. So I was working nights again, and then went from that to news director to sports, and sports to sales and marketing. Eventually worked my way up to market director and moved over to Indianola, Iowa at 94.3 KNIA as the market director, kind of ran that radio station. But that's when I started working with small businesses, right? And that's what really started to open my eyes to a lot of things going on right now. Like I grew up in poverty. I understand how hard life can be and how hard it is. And then working with small businesses, I'd have business leaders like crying on my shoulder, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Cause I'd be trying to sell them radio ads and I don't know what I'm doing. And I learned their budget, learned the stuff they're going through, started working with them off hours, started doing promotional stuff, video stuff, voiceover stuff, the things that I knew how to do, helping them out. And that kind of transpired to where my job I just left, where I was the Knoxville executive director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce in Knoxville, Iowa, working with small businesses. I started there in 2023, worked there until just June of this last year, where I finally resigned to be full-time into this campaign. In that 2 years that I was there, we were deemed a thriving community by the state of Iowa. We've increased business. We've increased people living in our community. We've done we actually had RAGBRAI, which is the Register's annual great bike ride across Iowa. We had that last year. I raised $18,000 to have that band Hairball downtown through sponsorships. So we raised enough money to actually give money back to our nonprofits. But anyways, going through all that, working in small business, you understand the struggles that people are going through. You understand those small businesses and how they're just trying to stay open. And you realize there's this huge correlation between a lot of it where people are struggling in a world where it's, 60% of our population is living paycheck to paycheck. 60% of our population doesn't meet the minimum quality standard of life to live in a country as rich as ours. We're all struggling. Like for people who are at the bottom to the middle, we're all trying to make this world what it is and do something more. And I feel like it's a world that we need to work on. It's a world we need to have a little bit bigger piece of the pie. And sometimes you need a guy that's not afraid to say the things that need to be said to get the attention drawn to him, to understand that we're done doing this. And I'm done watching my family struggle. I'm done watching my friends struggle. I'm done watching small businesses on Main Street in Iowa struggle. And for me, that's who I am. And that's why I'm here doing what I'm doing and saying what needs to be said.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for stepping up. Secondly, you're literally someone that started from the mud and had to piece it all together like so many Americans have had to do. And because you weren't born with the silver spoon in your mouth, you understand and value that prospect and how hard that is. And then you went into not just the military service, but post-military service communications, understanding how to talk to one another and seeing that. I think that's phenomenal. You've already touched on the why you're running. Iowa is a very unique state for those who don't know. It's always first in the electoral process. They actually put that in their constitution, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all are the trendsetters right? But can you tell me some of the things specific to Iowa that you're seeing that's unique? I know it's a mostly agricultural state, but I don't think most Americans or people around the world understand how much people in Iowa are hurting, and why what Senator Ernst said here recently was seen as so diabolical, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, there's over 100,000 Iowans on Medicaid right now. So when she said we're all going to die, after a concerned citizen said, people are going to die, and that was her response to it, it just showed like she don't care. Like they don't care as much as as sad as that is to say. That's the reality that we live in, because rich people, the billionaires, the multinational corporations are the people that are funding Joni. And that's what's interesting is that what's really interesting and what's been unique that I've seen since I've been out on the trail in Iowa, especially, has been the amount of people that know what Citizens United is and understand that they're like, we've been in town halls and people, I always ask the same question. I'll say, if I'm able to be your senator, what are the things, the top 3 things that you want me to focus on? Mm-hmm. Everybody always talks about schools, healthcare. Schools are a major thing. Childcare is a major thing. Healthcare is a major thing, obviously. But then we always get that 1 or 2 people that yell out, Citizens United, we need to overturn Citizens United and get big money out of politics. And I'm like, absolutely. Actually, that's huge. So that's one thing I feel like is interesting. It's not unique to necessarily to Iowa, but we've seen it a lot. And so people are really paying attention, which is good. We need an informed, group of people to make sure we vote the right way. But yeah, one thing that's really struck with everybody, I always talk about is schools, school vouchers. That's a big thing in Iowa that people are really tired of. They don't want to see the education department being ripped away and destroyed. That's a major thing that people are talking about. And I kind of correlate them together a lot when it comes to childcare and schools. Like, I think we need to bring back 4-year-old Head Start and give kids a better opportunity from a younger age. And also that would help with the cost of childcare. I think those are major issues. But the biggest thing, and the reason Trump won Iowa, and the one thing that we always talk about nonstop, is just making life affordable again, right? Like, if we can make it where we're cutting costs in certain areas and raising wages and working with unions to do that, I think that's what people want in Iowa. That's why Trump won, because he said he was going to make it affordable. So that's where we're getting that correlation across both party lines. People like, hey, we just got to make life affordable again.
And for those who don't know, because we have an international audience, you hit on something. Citizens United, for those who don't know, basically the Supreme Court said corporations can donate a ton of money in politics because corporations are people. In many respects, in the United States, we treat corporations better than we do actual humans, right? And then I think what you're saying about education is the reoccurring theme in communities all across the country. You get one shot to educate your kid, and you don't want to mess it up. You don't want experimentation. You want resources put in there. But if anybody's paying attention over the last 30 years, we've seen this slow ebb, and it hits the rural areas first before it gets to those major cities. So everything you're saying makes sense. Let me just wrap it up with this final question for you, Nathan. You've already lived a hard life. You've had challenges that you've had to overcome. When people say that America is declining, there's no way back, what do you say to them? Why are you telling them that you're running? What is it that motivates you to keep pushing that boulder uphill?
Man, you got my goosebumps there, because someone needs to fight, man. Someone needs to believe, like you and I and so many other veterans stood up. In Marine Corps, we stood on the yellow footprints. We swore the oath. We did our thing. We promised to fight for this country. We promised to fight for the Constitution. We promised to fight for what is right. That's who I am. At the end of the day, for me, like, I don't care about where I came from necessarily. I don't care about, at the end of the day, there's so many people. Like, yeah, I was lucky to find a path. There's so many people in this world that are hurting. So many people in this world that need a better life. So many people, like, we are the greatest nation this world has ever seen. We should be acting like it and treating our people like it, right? And that's wwhy I'm here, because somebody needs to stand up and fight, and why not me? My wife said, if not you, who? If not now, when? And that's the way it is. And
that's it.
Yeah, I'm here to help. That's what
Nathan,
I'm here.
I can't thank you enough for coming on. People take a look at his website. The links are in the description. You can see it on the screen here, but make no mistake. The fight for America's soul is fully underway, and it takes people who know what it's like to sacrifice for others. All right. To win that. And I believe, Nathan, you are one of those people, and we'd love to have you back on, especially as we get closer to those midterm elections, which are going to dictate a lot moving forward. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
New Meidas merch drop. Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.meidastouch.com.